Don't make this weird, it was just a kiss for content, my girlfriend said during a live stream after kissing the collab partner whose channel I had helped her grow. I said nothing, packed my desk into a duffel bag, and took my hard drives. For weeks, she called me insecure until a friend opened the creator group chat at a rooftop party, and her own DMs explained every brand event she had lied about. I'm Ethan, 28, freelance graphic designer. I work from home, which meant that for the past year I'd been working from what used to be our apartment but had increasingly started to feel like a studio I just happened to live in. I met Mia 3 years ago when she was running a lifestyle channel with about 12,000 subscribers and a borrowed ring light she kept in the corner of her bedroom. She was funny and sharp, and she genuinely cared about what she was building. That part was always real. I designed her first thumbnail package that first winter. 24 templates. I spent the better part of a weekend on them because I wanted them to be good, not because she'd asked me to do a rush job because I believed in it. She used them for 8 months before she rebranded, and even then she kept the general structure. I was proud of the work. I was also just happy that someone I loved was doing well. Over the next 2 years, I helped negotiate her first brand deal, a small wellness company, a 1-month trial. I shot behind-the-scenes footage on weekends. I proofed her scripts when she asked, gave notes, stayed up late when she had a deadline. None of it was formal. No contract, no arrangement. It was just what you do when you're with someone and you believe in what they're building. When she hit 50,000 subscribers, the apartment started to change. The living room became the main filming area. The kitchen had a permanent ring light setup. My desk stayed in the corner, I could work from anywhere, so it was fine. That's what I told myself. By 180,000, our relationship had a label. The boyfriend. It showed up in her bio, in her about page, in the text overlays on her thumbnails. I wasn't Ethan anymore. I was the boyfriend. A content category. Jordan came into the picture about 6 months ago. Bigger audience, more personality on camera, a lot of energy. He and Mia started planning a collab series. I raised a concern twice. Both times it went the same direction. You just don't understand the algorithm. I told myself I was being insecure. I told myself that was just what modern relationships looked like. I was wrong. The night of the live stream, Jordan showed up at 6. I noticed, before anything else, that he knew where the chargers were. He didn't ask, he went straight to the cabinet under the TV and plugged in his equipment like he'd done it before. Because he had. I couldn't tell you exactly when, but he had. He set up on what he'd apparently decided was his side of the living room. He called the apartment the set twice while arranging his ring light. Mia didn't correct him either time. When she came out of the bedroom and saw both of us in the room, she smiled and said, "Jordan, you remember Ethan? Not my boyfriend. Just. You remember him." The stream went live at 7. I went back to my desk and opened the client file I'd been working on. On my second monitor, I had one of Mia's thumbnails open, a design I was building for her next upload, something she'd asked for earlier in the week. For the first hour, it was fine. Jordan and Mia had good camera chemistry, which I'd always known. The chat liked them together. There were ship names in the comments, heart emojis, the usual energy. I'd watched their earlier collabs and told myself it was just the creator dynamic. That was what audiences responded to. That was just how it worked. Then they shifted into a bit, some kind of relationship prank segment. I didn't know the details because nobody had mentioned the plan for the evening. Jordan leaned in and kissed her. It wasn't a quick thing. It held for a beat too long for any camera bit to need. And when Mia pulled back, she wasn't flustered. She laughed. She turned to face the camera, easy, smooth, completely in control, and she said, "Don't make this weird, it was just a kiss for content." The chat exploded. 40,000 people responding at once. My hand stopped on the keyboard. I looked at the thumbnail I'd been building on my second monitor, a design for her next upload. I sat with it for a moment. Then I closed the file. I went to the hall closet and pulled out the duffel bag I kept on the top shelf. And while she kept streaming laughing, reassuring the chat that everything was fine, I started going through the room. I didn't have a plan. I wasn't executing anything. I just couldn't sit at that desk anymore, and I needed something to do with my hands. It was somewhere in those first few minutes that I started thinking about the past year. 6 months ago, Jordan had his first collab with Mia. One video, a get-to-know-you piece. Then another. Then, overnight editing sessions that ran until 2 in the morning, sessions Mia mentioned only after the fact, casually, the way you'd mention stopping for gas on the way home. I brought it up once, kept it measured, tried to make it a real conversation. She said, "You're being weird about this." It's literally my job. I let it go. There was the thumbnail situation. Last fall, I redesigned her whole visual identity, new banner, new thumbnail style, the complete package. 3 weeks of work, mostly done after my own clients were handled. She used all of it. It looked good, and I didn't need credit, but I figured she'd mention it somewhere. A few months later, a brand reached out to me directly because they'd found my name buried in the file metadata of her sponsorship kit. They thought I was her creative director. I pulled up the kit. My designs were in there, presented as part of her professional offering. No credit, no mention. Just the work. I brought it up. She said, "I didn't think you'd want your name on it. It's my brand." I didn't know what to say to that, so I didn't say anything. Then March, our anniversary. She asked me to get dressed up, said she wanted to do something nice. I put on a real shirt, made a reservation, showed up ready. I found out it was a boyfriend does my makeup segment when the thumbnail went live 2 days later. My face. Her brand colors. No heads up. I mentioned it. She said I was making the algorithm into a problem. The week before the live stream, I asked her directly about Jordan. Short and calm, just whether there was anything I should know. God, can you not? This is literally my job. You're making the algorithm into a problem. Same words. Different conversation. She never lied to me exactly. She just kept reclassifying things. Every concern became insecurity. Every question became proof. I didn't understand how any of this worked until there was nothing left to lie about. I understood the algorithm just fine. I just didn't realize I was part of it. The stream ended around 9:30. Jordan packed up his equipment. He and Mia said goodbye near the front door, a hug that ran a second or two long. Something she said quietly that I didn't catch, and then he was gone. She came into the bedroom, where I was standing with the half-packed duffel on the bed. She looked at the bag. Then at me. "Are you serious right now?" I didn't answer. "Ethan." It was a bit. It was content. "You're going to make this into a whole thing?" I said I was going to Devs for a few days. She asked if I was really doing this over a kiss. I picked up the bag and told her I'd be in touch about the rest of my things. She was on her phone before I reached the door. Within 2 hours, her Instagram story was up, a laughing emoji, then text, "For everyone asking, we're fine. He's just a little dramatic lol." She followed it with a second frame announcing a Real Talk video coming soon. I saw it from Dev's couch just after midnight. 48 hours later, she and Jordan posted a photo. They were in the living room of our apartment, the one I was still on the lease, for standing in front of her ring light, smiling. She geotagged it. The caption was about new content coming soon. Nothing about the stream. Nothing about what had happened. Just forward momentum. The creator community did what it does. Someone in their circle, a person I'd had dinner with at 2 different events, posted on her own page. Sometimes partners just don't get the creator life, and that's okay. No names. She didn't need them. 847 comments agreed with her within 12 hours. Mia reposted a poll. Was the kiss okay for content? 68% said yes. I watched all of this from Dev's guest room. My accounts were already private, but the follow requests still came, handles with fan and clip in the name. People circulating the VOD clip under the caption "boyfriend drama." That was the story now. I was the insecure boyfriend who couldn't handle his girlfriend's career. I was dramatic. I was the one who didn't understand. I hadn't said a single word publicly. She turned my exit into her next upload before I'd even found a place to sleep. 3 days after the stream, I was sitting at Dev's kitchen table when he put his phone down in front of me and said, "I need to show you something." Dev is a photographer. He's known Mia since before I did. He shot her first press photos, knows most of the people in the creator circle. He's also been part of a group chat with about 12 other creators for the past couple of years. Jordan is in that chat too. Jordan had been sharing excerpts of his DMs with Mia in the group. Not carefully, not privately, he'd posted a screenshot with a comment. The way you do when you want people to know something is going well and you're not thinking about who's in the room. The messages went back 6 weeks. In one of them, Jordan referenced after the shoot on Thursday. The Thursday 3 weeks before the livestream, Mia had told me she had a brand event. She'd come home late and I hadn't asked about it. The one that landed hardest was a message Jordan had sent to the full group about 3 weeks before the stream. He wrote, "She's basically already out of that relationship, she just hasn't said it yet." 12 people read that. I was the 13th to find out. I sat with it for a while. Dev made coffee. He didn't push me to talk. I appreciated that. That night, back in the guest room, I thought about the email. About 3 weeks before the live stream, Mia had sent me a long message, the kind that comes out of an argument that's been building too long without a real conversation. I remembered opening it, reading a few paragraphs about feeling unsupported and underappreciated, and closing it. She'd seemed fine the next morning, so I let it go. I had never opened the attachments. I opened them now. 3 photos. The first was a selfie Mia, somewhere I didn't immediately recognize. The second was a wider shot of the same room. I looked at it for a moment before it clicked. A specific framed print on the wall, a particular shelf arrangement in the background. I'd seen that shelf before. It showed up in the background of one of Jordan's YouTube videos from earlier in the year. That was Jordan's apartment. The third photo had a timestamp, 9:47 p.m. a Tuesday. I pulled up my calendar for that Tuesday. It was the night she'd told me she had a brand event running until at least 8. I remembered because I'd offered to get dinner, and she said not to bother. She'd eat there. I looked up the event. It was publicly listed. It ended at 7. She had sent me all of this herself. In a moment of anger, as evidence of a life she felt I wasn't paying enough attention to. 3 weeks before I had any reason to go looking, she had put the proof in my inbox. She wasn't hiding it from me. She was just waiting for me to stop looking. I spent the next few days finishing client work and trying to figure out what I actually wanted. Mia had sent 3 more messages. A long one the night I left, 2 shorter ones over the following days. I read the subject lines. I didn't open any of them. What I kept coming back to was this. I had nothing to prove publicly. The DMs existed, the photos existed, the timestamps existed, and she had already told the story she was going to tell to her audience, to the creator circle, to anyone paying attention. There was no version of me responding publicly that ended well. If I posted, it was drama. If I explained myself, it was still drama. If I shared the receipts, it became a comment section war that got scraped by drama channels and lived online forever. That wasn't what I wanted. What I wanted was my equipment. 2 external monitors, a drawing tablet, 3 hard drives. One of the drives had active client files on it. I needed those back. I wrote 1 email. Subject line: equipment retrieval. The body was a numbered list. 4 items, each with a description and its approximate location in the apartment. Proposed retrieval time, Saturday, 11 a.m. 1 request: please don't be there. I copied Dev. No greeting. No, I hope you're well. No explanation of why I was writing this way instead of calling. No sign off. I read it once, confirmed it said exactly what it needed to say, and sent it. She replied within 20 minutes. 3 paragraphs. I could see the opening line in the preview. I think we really need to talk about. I didn't open it. Saturday morning, Dev came with me. She wasn't there. We went in, collected everything on the list, and left. About 25 minutes. The only message I sent her was about a hard drive. I think that surprised her more than anything else I could have done. Dev and Priya got engaged in April. The party was on a rooftop about 3 weeks after the stream, a small gathering, maybe 30 people, most of them people who'd known Dev before any of us had a following. Dev asked me the week before if I was still coming. I said yes. He mentioned Mia would be there, and that she was bringing Jordan. I said I came for them, not because of anyone else. I got there early and helped Priya with the string lights along the outer railing. By the time most people arrived, I was already talking to Dev's brother about architecture, which is the kind of conversation I actually like at parties. I wasn't thinking about the stream. I wasn't rehearsing anything. I was just there. Mia and Jordan arrived around 7:30. I saw them from across the rooftop. She saw me, and I watched her recalibrate a small adjustment, a brief reread of the room, the way someone does when they're not sure what they've walked into. She came over within 5 minutes. "Can we talk?" she said. "Ethan, you're making this so much bigger than it needs to be." "I'm not making anything. I came for Dev and Priya." She held my gaze for a moment. Then Jordan appeared at her shoulder, and she seemed to decide that was easier, and the 2 of them moved toward the drinks. About an hour in, we ended up in a loose group near the railing: me, Dev, Priya, Mia, Jordan, a couple of other people from the creator circle, including the person who had posted the partners don't always get the creator life comment. It wasn't arranged. It was just the way people cluster at small parties. Priya asked the question. Not aggressive. Not performing for the group. Just clear and direct. "Were you and Jordan already seeing each other before the stream?" A pause. Mia: "That's not, we were just working together." Jordan: "Yeah. Always professional. Too smooth. Too prepared." It came out of his mouth the way a rehearsed line does, The way something sounds when you've said it in front of a mirror. Dev reached into his pocket, unlocked his phone, and handed it to the person on his left, the creator friend, the one who'd publicly backed Mia's version of events. He didn't say anything. He just handed her the phone. She read it. She was quiet for a moment. She handed it to the next person. No announcement. No look at this. The phone just moved around the group. Mia watched it move. When it reached the third person, she said, "Jordan shouldn't have shared those. That was private. Not those don't exist. Not, you're misreading them. Not that's out of context. Jordan shouldn't have shared those." Jordan tried to recover with a short laugh, something about how it was never meant to go anywhere, but Mia cut him off. Fast and quiet, without looking at him. They didn't speak for the rest of the night. Whatever they'd walked in with, there was a crack in it now. I stood there and said nothing. This wasn't something I'd arranged. Dev had been sitting on those screenshots since before the party he'd shown me at his kitchen table weeks earlier and then waited, the way you wait when you're not sure it's your place to step in, and then something makes the decision for you. The creator friend put the phone down. She didn't post about it. She just stood there with a different expression than the one she'd arrived with. A little later, Mia found me near the railing. "Ethan, come on. We can figure this out." She meant it, in the way people mean things when they're trying to avoid the shape of what comes next. I said, "You can keep the algorithm. I'm keeping my life." Then I went back across the rooftop. I found Dev's family and stayed with them for the rest of the night. I ate. I had 2 drinks. I didn't leave early. Mia stayed another hour. Jordan left first. Mia posted the Real Talk video about 2 weeks after the party. It did about a third of her usual numbers on launch day and didn't recover from there. I didn't watch it. Dev told me the comments section was harder on her than she'd expected. The DM screenshots had circulated through the creators circle after the party and then moved outward from there, the way things do when enough people share them quietly with enough other people. Nobody organized it. Nobody announced it. It just moved, and by the time it had moved far enough, the comment sections had seen it. Her audience had been watching someone they liked, and then they'd watch that person call a real moment content and keep going, and the two things didn't line up. People noticed that eventually. Not always in dramatic ways. Sometimes just in the way they stopped clicking. 2 of her brand partners didn't renew. I have no way of knowing exactly why. But I noticed. Jordan's audience didn't bridge to hers the way she'd assumed it would. His followers were there for his content, not the drama, and the crossover never materialized. They did 3 more collabs over the following months, then went quiet. His page went back to his own work. Hers kept going, but something about it felt smaller, even at the same subscriber count. I got a referral from Dev about a month after the party, a corporate rebrand for a mid-sized design firm. Biggest contract I'd taken on in 2 years. I did good work. They extended the engagement, and it led to 2 more introductions through their network. Work that came with a contract, a credit line, a rate that reflected what I actually did. That fall, I started a newsletter. Design, creative business, the intersection of the two. I'd been writing that kind of thing privately for a while and never published it. It found an audience slowly. Not a large one, not yet, but the kind that actually reads and comes back and occasionally sends a reply that has something real in it. I'm in a relationship now. She works in urban planning. She has never asked how many followers I have, not because she was being polite about it, but because it genuinely hasn't come up. It's not the currency in the life we have together. About a year after the live stream, I looked up Mia's channel. I don't know exactly why. Maybe to close something off. Maybe just curiosity. I gave myself permission to look and promised myself I wouldn't go back after. She was at 142,000, down from 183. I held that for a moment. Not with satisfaction, exactly. More like recognition, the gap between the story she was telling and the one that was actually true, showing up slowly and quietly in the numbers over time. Natural consequences, her own choices catching up with her, the way they tend to. I closed the tab. I haven't gone back. The algorithm kept going. So did I. Those weren't the same thing anymore.